ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on Broadway World over here on the Broadway Podcast Network, iHeart, Spotify. Look, I am in Detroit, people. Like, Detroit sign is literally behind me. There's a lion over there. I came from New Jersey 2 years ago, and I'm like, people said to me, Sam, this is what people said to me, Sam White. They said to me, nobody is ever going, you're going to have no culture. There's no theater. There's no art. Where are you going to leave Broadway? Where's Shakespeare in the Park? When are you going to ever feel fulfilled? And you know what I found? There is culture and theater and art everywhere, bustling
Absolutely.
around the city. This one right here, Sam White is here to tell us all about shit. Literally, her show opened like 2 days ago, and she's up bright and early and ready to tell us all about it. Sam White, welcome to the roundtable.
Thank you. Excited to be at the round table. Excited to talk about culture because you're right. It's thriving in Detroit. Yep.
Do you know, I just talked to people that said to me from New York, they said, I hear Detroit's got a lot of arts organizations. I hear it's turning around. People told me 30 years ago it would not look the way that it looks now. It really is a bustling city for artists.
Absolutely. I mean, and not just artists in the theater, sector. I mean, all art forms, visual, film. We have painters, sculptors. We have, of course, folks who are at my round table, actors, directors, designers, and all of that. I mean, from every sort of industry under the arts umbrella, there's people in Detroit doing the work and doing it well, for sure.
So tell me a little bit before we get into the show, which you have just been working on, that is I heard is incredible and it's such a unique space and place and show for Shakespeare in Detroit. What do you do? Are you from Detroit, firstly?
I am born and raised in Detroit. Eminem is from 8 Mile, so I'm from the mile right before his 7 Mile. And I've been in and out of Detroit in recent years because I also freelance direct around the continent. But my home base is Shakespeare in Detroit, and I started it because of a love I have for Shakespeare that came from my mother when I was 8 years old. And then it percolated through the years and eventually manifested into Shakespeare in Detroit. And we've been around for 13 years. We're Detroit's very first Shakespeare company. It was just maybe about 3 weeks after the city filed for bankruptcy. We took ourselves to a park called Grand Circus Park, which is downtown, not too far from where the Lions play. I see you wearing the Lions hoodie. And we did Othello right after the bankruptcy. And we didn't know if anybody was going to show up. But 500 people came out to that first show. And since then, over 30,000 people have engaged with Shakespeare in Detroit because people love the bard. They love his stories. It's more than just the guy who wrote the plays. It's about the humanity of the work. And so we're continuing to spread the theater love all around my hometown. And I'm happy to be able to take care of home and provide this, what I consider a service to people in our community.
Well, look, I moved here, like I said, a little over a year ago. My husband is a Detroiter. I also live on 7 Mile. And when I first came here, I took my picture in front of 8 Mile because I needed to show that I represented to my family. But then I realized they were like, "Where's the trailer park? Where's Eminem?" I said, "It's just a Meyer. There's no." Detroit is
Not
not
just
what
the
people.
buyer.
People do not understand what they think Detroit around the country and around the world. They think Detroit has this reputation, but what it really has is communities, neighborhoods, organizations, charitable organizations, and there's a real feeling of community. Have you found community in the arts through Shakespeare in Detroit? It's a group of people. You guys are like a family.
Absolutely. I think you're right. Like Detroit does have a reputation that precedes itself, but it's also based on, I think, a myth. I think there's been a myth about the city of Detroit probably since the 67 riots that just sort of lives in people's imaginations. But oftentimes they find when they experience the reality of the city that's not the case. And it's so easy to make community here because the great thing about Detroit is you get a really robust arts community, but you also get some really down to earth people. So it's not hard to make friends. It's not hard to find collaborators who want to work at the same pace and level as you because everybody is so open, so normal, so cool, so down to earth. And so you get both and you don't have to sacrifice the community to do work at a high level, and you don't have to just do work at a high level and not have community. You can have both and in Detroit.
Okay, so tell me about what you guys do there. How can people get involved? How do you support? How do you get money? Like, how are you running this organization?
Yeah, well, we have some incredible long-term supporters who've been with us for a very long time. We have 3 programs, special events, and then we have our youth program, which is called Shakespeare STEAM, where we teach both vocational and artistic skills to youth. And then we have our main stage professional work, which is the flagship of what we do. And the youth work is sponsored by the Max M. and Marjorie S. Fisher Foundation and the Walters Family Foundation, and they've been partners for a very long time. And then our main stage work is supported by the Gilbert Family Foundation. And then our special events, it's sort of these one-offs that we do in the community that really connect with our neighbors. Those are sponsored by individual donations. So we've been around so long now that we have, as you said, a community of folks who really want to see Shakespeare in Detroit thrive. And the great thing is we've always, because we started 3 weeks after the bankruptcy, Robert, I think that was helpful for us because we've always budgeted and managed our finances based on individual donations or relationships with foundations rather than sort of federal funds. And that's allowed us to remain on budget. We've never been in the red, and we continue to be, in the green for the most part, because I think there's something about when we started that informed how we make decisions about the art that we create. And we're still here.
I work here at Detroit Lions Academy in the city. We're the alternative high school that's partnered with the team, and I'm always looking for Sam. You may have just found yourself a friend because I may be like, Sam, we're starting a theater program at my school. We're starting a choir. I may have to hit you up because I need my artistic community. Hey, I may even come down and audition. I just want to let you know I went to acting school.
I feel the energy. I feel the sort of on stage actor energy. I feel it, Robert.
I did. I may have my classical work was a
Uh-huh.
struggle bus
Okay. Oh,
because
that might be a problem.
it's a lot of words, Sam. There's a lot
That
of
might be a
words.
problem, Robert. I don't.
Okay, okay. I'll collect tickets. I could pop popcorn. I can do that for you. But here's
Popcorn.
done. So what is this work that you have your show open this week? You've been working on it. I know how hard that work it is. It's unique because it's not Shakespeare like we think of Hamlet, Midnight Summer's Dream. Tell us what is this and how did it come to you?
Yeah, it's an incredible play called Jane Anger. There's a longer title, but the primary title is Jane Anger, and it's by Talene Monahan, who is a New York-based playwright. And this is the first time that this play has ever been produced in this region. So we're excited for the Michigan premiere. We had our final dress preview on Wednesday. Yesterday, we opened to a sold-out house. We actually had overflow, which was really nice and incredible for 2025 for that to happen. And then we have 3 more shows left. We close on Sunday at 3 p.m. So it's been an incredible ride with this farce. It's funny. It's actually really goofy. So if you like Monty Python, if you like Three Stooges, even if you like Martin, which was one of my favorite TV shows in the
Me too.
90s, you're going to love this show. William Shakespeare, it's not by him, but he is one of the central characters in the show. The titular character, of course, is Jane Anger, and he and her are sort of nemesis, but they're also lovers. She has something she wants to publish. He's struggling to write King Lear. They come together. She comes through a window. She's been his dark lady. We know the dark lady from 25 of his sonnets. She comes in to help him gain some inspiration to complete King Lear. But something really interesting happens in between, and he ends up falling out of a window. How he gets there, people have to come see to find out. But we wanted to do this play because it really challenges the idea of who gets to be, a voice, who gets to be famous, who gets the opportunities in life, who gets the opportunity to have their art shown. Because you have Jane, who's an incredible writer, and you have William, who's an incredible writer, but William becomes the one who gets the fame, the notoriety. And so that's why we wanted to do this play, to talk more about him than just do his plays. And in the show, if you love Hamlet, if you love Macbeth, if you love King Lear, you get some of the wonderful verses, monologues from those pieces, but in the container of farce, comedy, heightened comedy through Jane Anger. Directed by me, and starring an international cast, Robert. I always want to tell people that. So we have William Shakespeare, who's Andrew Huff, who is from Detroit. Jane Anger is from Houston, Texas. We also have Michael Lopatrone, who's originally from here, but has been in Brooklyn for a number of years. And then we have Megan Quinn, who's actually Canadian because I work in Canada often. So it's an international cast of really, really talented folks.
You took my next question because I was just going to ask you who's up on stage. You know, behind every man is a strong woman, and that's what this show is telling you all about. Jane Anger, and maybe you hear a little bit of fun. I love comedy because I think a lot of people, and I'm sure the glitterati crowd of New York may feel like, oh, I have to go see Shakespeare to be a cool artistic person. But in many other places, including myself, Shakespeare intimidates me. I hear Shakespeare and I say, like, I'm not going to understand it. Is it going to be hard?
Right.
Is this accessible to me? Am I smart enough to get this? How
That's
do you
right.
combat that stigma that comes across this kind of work?
Yeah, well, I think the perfect thing about Jane Anger, thank you for asking that, is that it really does remove all the gatekeeping around Shakespeare because comedy is such a it's such a balm for for like things that keep us separated from certain things. So if you come to see the show and you're not somebody who loves Shakespeare like I do or whose mom forced them to read Shakespeare like my mom did, and you've been reading it your entire life, it really does sort of take down those walls that are sometimes around Shakespeare because it's silly, it's funny, and there's just bits and pieces from Shakespeare's canon that are intertwined in there. So you become familiar with the bar through an accessible platform like Jane Anger. This is our first time doing something that has not been in the canon. So it's new for us too. We usually stick pretty close to those 37 plays in Shakespeare's canon. But even when we do the plays, his actual works, the reason why Shakespeare in Detroit has been successful is because we have folks from Detroit, folks from other places. We have an international cast because we're so close to Canada. We're able to pull artists from over the border. And because you on stage you see so many people from so many places of all ages and backgrounds, it really becomes a mirror for folks who have never seen classical works before. And then it also becomes like a window to see things that maybe haven't been so accessible before. And Robert, and I gotta say, the unique thing about Shakespeare in Detroit, it's very difficult to see um, really beautiful heightened classical costumes now. Even a lot of Shakespeare companies do not do period anymore because period is expensive. Period is hard to build. So you don't really get to see the beauty and the silhouette of a corset or the big skirts or the doublets or the pumpkin pans or the tights because a lot of companies, Shakespearean and not Shakespearean, just aren't doing period. So when you come to see a Shakespeare in Detroit play, it's almost like, you get a taste of Bridgerton. You get a taste of Game of Thrones. You get a taste of all these things, but in 5D because you're there in person that otherwise you wouldn't get because a lot of people just aren't doing period anymore. And that makes it accessible too because the colors, the textures, the silhouettes are just, delicious. And that's
You know,
accessible. Everybody loves color. Everybody loves pretty silhouettes. So that's what we do.
You know what I love about this is that my husband, who was obsessed with Bridger, I always say he's smarter than me because he watches Bridgerton, Game of Thrones. He doesn't have ADD like me, where I can watch 15 minutes of something and then I start to get like, oh, I got to do something. But live theater solves the ADD for me because being there, watching the behavior, watching the colors, looking at the incredible work, the places that you do the show, there's not a bad seat in the house. You're going to have a great accessible seat. You're going to be able to see this. And it's something that you need to experience in the city. If you've never been to the symphony before, go to DSO. If you've never been to see a Broadway show, go to Broadway in Detroit. If you've
Yeah.
never seen Shakespeare, go to Shakespeare in Detroit. Experience art and culture beyond just sports and beyond just a concert. Go experience the culture that this city has for you. That's what's so moving to me, Sam, is that you're giving people who have never had any access to these incredible works, you're giving them the opportunity to see it for the first time. And you keep it affordable and you keep it accessible to everybody. Is that important for you?
Absolutely. Affordability and accessibility is incredibly important. Daniel Day-Lewis was just in, I forget which magazine, talking about the lack of access in theater. And so the thing about us is 50% of everything that we do comes at no cost to the community. So whenever we're in the park, that's completely free to the community. When we work with children, we've given out $100,000 in scholarships because sometimes when kids are a part of programs, they have to pay for entry, not at Shakespeare in Detroit. And with Jane Anger, the tickets are $45, but we've offered a lot of student discounts, but those are pretty affordable still. And with us, because we've invested more in the quality of our art than brick and mortar, we're able to travel around to different venues. So if you couldn't make it to this neighborhood show, you can make it to the next one. If you couldn't make it downtown, maybe you can make it to 6 Mile when we work over there. we go to the people instead of asking the people to come to us. So now we're at Marlene Bowl Theater, which you can take the people mover to, or you can park downtown, have a great bite, and then come see the show. We're always around for our folks. And again, we come to the people. We don't ask the people to come to us.
So go to Woodward, park your car, take the people mover downtown. See, I'm trying to show you that I know my Detroit, Sam. I
You
just
do.
want that
I
out there.
see, Robert. Yes. Yes.
Okay, grab some food, and then you go see the show, and then you're gonna have an incredible night. 45, my Coney order last night was more than $45. So
There you
we
go.
all got our $45 somewhere set aside.
There
And
you go.
where can we find information about what you do, your upcoming shows, your upcoming season? Be active if we want to volunteer, if we want to audition. How can we find more information about what y'all do?
We have a gorgeous website. I'm biased, but it's also true at shakespeareindetroit.com. And then you can also find us on social media. We're extremely active and our social media is really chic and beautiful and colorful. So if you just want to look at it, you could. But if you want to find out or connect more with Shakespeare in Detroit, you'll find us at Shakespeare in Detroit on all of our social channels as well. Yes,
I,
please.
I like Sam's energy. I want to be Sam's friend. I want to take you out for a drink or a bite to eat.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Are
My
you
coffee's empty. I could use some coffee right now, Robert.
Oh, are you a director as trade? Like that's what you do?
It is what I do here at home for the company I founded, Shakespeare in Detroit. But I've also worked at Stratford, of course, which is right across the border, and the Old Globe, Cleveland Playhouse, Oregon Shakespeare Festival. So I get around, but I always come home because I understand that with Detroit evolving, that businesses will bring people here, but the arts are what will make them stay. So we have to continue to invest in the arts because the sports are cute, all the other things are wonderful, but the thing that continues to inspire people, even non-theater people, is having art. That is what will connect with people and bring more people here, more businesses here, more energy here. And so I'm committed. That's why I always come home no matter where I am in the world. And I hope other people will do the same for sure.
That's how I feel. I feel in the future, just like we're looking at Shakespeare and seeing these themes repeated in life. What we're seeing right now, someone is writing a play about it that's going to show the culture and the history of what the crazy times we're living in now, and that will
Yeah.
continue. And it's so important that we invest in art, support art and artists because they are literally documenting our future every single day. Kudos to you. This is incredible.
Thank you, Robert. Yes, the arts matter. And in this time, the way that we combat the arts and culture sector, which is losing a lot of support and a lot of funding, is by making sure that we continue to show up with excellence. It's doing art, but doing it to the best of our ability because all of these things are going to be documented. Kids are going to come see, shows, go to museums. People of all ages are going to see these things. And when you have such a tense environment like we're in now, we are a balm for people. We are recording history. We are speaking the truth. The arts matter. I can't say it enough, and I know we love our lions and our tigers, and I do too. I do too. I'm from Detroit, born and raised, friends, everybody. But the thing about the arts is it's of course, there's financial, benefits of having the arts, of course. But the thing about the arts is that it touches your humanity. And why does that matter? Because commentary on the news and on social media will not change people's hearts, but seeing a great play, crying together in unison with someone you don't know, laughing, hilarious, like with a hilarious play like Jane Eyre, that connects you with people that otherwise you wouldn't connect with. And you can't put that in a jar. The only place you can put it is in here, just in here. So come see shows, not just our shows, but all the shows
All
around
the
town.
shows. Go see the shows around town. Support art and artists today. My acting school teacher, Barbara Marchand, who William Esper I went to, she was the liaison to the Globe in the UK, in London,
Wow.
and she used to be like, "We have to all study Shakespeare." I give you all so much credit. The greatest actors in the world do Shakespeare. The greatest
They
directors
do.
in the world do
They
Shakespeare.
do. They do. And it's not about the guy because he's been dead for almost 500 years. If you've had a family, if you lost someone in your family, or you've been a caregiver, or you've had someone sick in your family, then you can understand what Reagan and Cordelia and Goneril are dealing with in King Lear. If you've been in love with somebody maybe you shouldn't have been in love with, or people had something to say about it, Romeo and Juliet is your play. If you couldn't say who you truly were and you had to hide your identity and you were just bursting at the seams to live in your reality, then guess what? You're probably Rosalind from As You Like It. Like there's so many characters, so many stories, so many scenarios in Shakespeare that are beyond the man. And I hope that especially young kids who maybe don't connect with the work understand that it belongs to them. It's not just for a certain group of people. And it's copyright free. That tells you right there it belongs to all of us. So read it knowing that
Literally.
it belongs to you like it does anybody else.
Right. Get over the old white man that's dead. Everybody, this is
He's
for
gone.
everybody. It's gone for everybody. Sam, congratulations. I'm inspired by talking to you. I can't wait to come see your shows, follow you all. And I'll see you over there on 7 Mile.
Thank you. I will see you on 7 Mile. It's the best mile. Sorry,
It,
Eminem.
sorry,
Sorry.
I agree. You're more
Sorry.
than just a Meyer on 7 Mile. You know what I'm saying?